Alright, this lesson is on finding the midpoint of a line segment. So to find the midpoint, think about you're wanting that middle section, so it's like finding the average. Okay, you're going to find that middle part. Okay, we're going to average the x's and average the y values. And remember, when you average, you add, and then you divide by the number of terms you added up. Okay. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is, what are your coordinates? So this first coordinate over here, remember you start at the origin, you go over -5, and then you go down -5. And then for this one, we just go over -1, down -1. Okay. I like to write my 2 points over here. And you can either write them side by side or stack them. I like to stack, and I'll show you why. Because now I see, here's my x terms, here's my y terms that I don't get them mixed. Which for this one, everything's the same thing. So, but here's my x's I want to average, here's my y's I want to average. So, for my x values, I have -5 plus -1. But remember, we're going to average this, so we're going to add this up and then divide that number by 2. So -5 plus -1 is -6. Divide that by 2 to average, so I get -3. And this one's going to be a little bit different because our y values are the exact same thing. So again, my first y value is -5. And I'm going to add it with my second y value, which is -1. And then to average that, I'll divide them both by 2. Alright, typically they won't be the same numbers, it's just how this ordered pair was. So you write your final answer as an ordered pair because it has to be a point on that graph. So I would always recommend going back to your graph and then making sure this point is on your graph. So if I go over -3, down -3, there's my midpoint of my graph. That's just a quick check to make sure you didn't do any simple mistakes, mathematical mistakes, during your work. Okay, let's try it again. First, let's find our ordered pairs. So this one, again, I went over -5, but this time I went up +5. And the second point, I go over to 2, oops, positive. Yeah, sorry guys. Go over +2 and then down -5. So now again, I'm going to start with writing these points. Now, like I said, I like to stack them just so I can easily see, here's my x's, here's my y's. So I'm not grabbing the wrong number on accident. Okay, so x values. I'm going to pull my -5 and 2. So -5 plus 2, I'm only adding 2 numbers. So I'm going to divide by 2. Alright, let's look. -5 plus 2 is -3. -3 divided by 2, you can leave it like this or you can do -1.5. Okay, same thing. Okay, now let's look at our y values. Okay, so this time I'm going to grab these numbers. So I have 5 plus -5. We're going to divide that by 2 to average. 5 plus -5 is 0. Divide that by 2. 0 divided by any number is always 0. Now remember, write your final answer as an ordered pair. Don't do all this work on the side and then not complete it with your answer. So x comes first. I like fractions, so -3/2 and 0. So again, let's make sure it's on our graph. I need to go over -3/2. So I'm at 0, 0, -1.5, or 3/2 is here, and 0. So we're good. All right. So again, it takes, just setting up two real simple equations. And then remember, it doesn't matter. Like I can start at this point and I can say 5, let's see, 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to stack it with the other point. So I went over -4 down -1. It doesn't matter what point you start on because since we're adding, remember 2 plus -5 is the same thing if we had switched these two. So the order with finding a midpoint, finding an average, doesn't matter. Okay, so here's my x's, here's my y's. So I'm going to start with my x's first. 5 plus -4. Then we're going to average it, so we're going to divide it by 2. Well, 5 plus -4 is 1. And divide by 2. So you can either leave it as 1/2 or you can say 0.5. Either way. Now let's look at my y's. I'm going to do 3 plus -1 divided by 2. 3 plus -1 is 2. Divide that by 2 to average it. Well, anything over itself is always 1. Okay, so my x value, 1/2. My y value, 1. And remember, ordered pairs are always x, y. Remember that when you write your answers. Alright, so let's look at that. I start at 0, I go over 1/2, and go up 1. And there's the midpoint of my graph. Another way, just real quick, that you could do these is drawing a triangle out. And then like this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 units here. So half of 7 is 3.5. So 1, 2, 3, well, do 1, 2, 3, and then this will do my half. And then do the same thing this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, half of 10 is 5. So start at one point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So then you could find where those two meet. I mean, that is another way of doing it if you don't want to do the math. You're still finding that middle point. But you don't always have the graph drawn out for you. You can do quick sketches, but sometimes when you're working with big numbers, it's not easy to do just a quick sketch. Alright, so there's how you find the midpoint of any line segment. Just think of average. I'm trying to find the middle point.